Alright, I couldn't get a gaming video up today due to technical issues, but I was able to record this, so here you go. Akira, the movie review. Akira was a cyberpunk manga released in the mid to late 80s. It was very popular, and due to its popularity, it got a movie. But this kind of movie, it wasn't just like any movie. Unlike most Japanese anime movies, it was different. It had different kind of standards. And that was probably due to the budget of this movie being $1 billion. Yep, that's right. $1 billion. This movie was expensive, especially for its time. I mean, that's expensive now, but back then, even more. Wow. So, Akira the movie. What can be said about it? Let's find out. This movie was released on July 16th, 1988 in Japan. And when it came to America, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg both thought it was unmarketable. So, Streamlining Pictures, who you may remember as the company that dubbed the Harmony Gold dub of Dragon Ball, and Robotech, decided to make a version of this film that features Cam Clark. You know, Leonardo from the Ninja Turtles. Yeah, the dub of that movie wasn't so good, and it didn't do that well. And it was pretty much forgotten about until 2001, when the movie was redubbed in English and given an upgraded sound effects. This cost around probably $1,000. It was pretty expensive. And for all you Power Rangers fans out there, veteran Power Ranger actor Johnny Young Bosch played the character Tetsuo. Well, let's get into the movie. Enough with all this random talk. This movie has two main plots. One of them is pretty much about the antagonist of the movie, Tetsuo, while the other plot is about a rebellion happening. A rebellion against what, you ask? Industrialization. Now, let's find out what I mean. This movie takes place in Neo Tokyo, 2019. 1 year after the 2020 Olympics, which coincidentally will be held in the actual year 2020. Man, 5 years after this video is released. Anyways, this takes place after the events of the original Tokyo was destroyed, initiating World War III. During this time, Neo Tokyo is being revealed a secret government project conducting research on psychic test subjects led by Colonel Shikishima is created. Anyways, in this new world Tokyo, this is pretty much a booming industrial city, but it isn't without its problem. The city is on the verge of collapse, with biker gangs being rampant and civilians rebelling against industrialization, leading to riots and many deaths. A youth named Tetsuo in a biker gang is in pursuit of another gang, the entire gang, not just Tetsuo, but he chases after a certain group in the gang, and it leads to him running near a boy who is soon the cause of a certain explosion that sets off a chain reaction of events for this movie. And due to this, Tetsuo is injured, and he is brought to a testing facility where the special ones are brought. He is given some type of drugs, presumably for testing on him. And initially, they try to kill Tetsuo, mainly because they fear he has the power to reach and awaken what they call Akira. While this is happening, Kaneda meets up with a girl named Kei, who is part of a group of rebels planning on an attack coincidentally near the same place Tetsuo is being held. During the time, Tetsuo is but the subject of torture by these espers, consisting of the female psychic Kikyo. Her number is 26. Takashi, the one who caused the explosion injuring Tetsuo, his number is 27. And Masaru, the obese one, who was so fat he has to be confined to a wheelchair. That's a lesson for you kids. Obesity is bad. His number is 28. They are trying to prevent, as I said before, Tetsuo from awakening Akira, a being that possesses godlike powers, although he looks like a normal child. This plan utterly fails and actually gets Tetsuo even closer to Akira than he was before. This also slowly drives Tetsuo insane, along with other conflicting problems that he had with Kaneda back when they were younger. So Kaneda, Kai, Tetsuo, the Espers, and Colonel Shikishima all meet up together with guns, and Tetsuo escapes, and is kind of angry that Kaneda's there, saying to leave him alone. And after this, he storms out on the town, with Kaneda following after. When Kaneda arrives back at Neo Tokyo, he learns that it was placed on martial law, and Kai, a member of the gang led by Kaneda, tells him that Tetsuo killed one of the gang members, Yamagata. Kaneda confronts Tetsuo, just man-to-man talk, with a laser gun, while the colonel also uses an orbital laser, both trying to kill Tetsuo, but their attempts fail. However, they do manage to cut off his arm. Tetsuo begins to experience more and more pain, and the colonel explains that the drugs that they were giving him were basically to stop his mutations or out-of-control powers from getting any worse. And since he doesn't have any of the drugs currently at the time, they can't stop him from going out of control. The Espers awaken Akira, who arrives in a ball of light, not needing to appear in the human form anymore. And this ball of light is what he uses to contain Tetsuo. Basically, after a whole exchange and a little more in-depth look on Tetsuo's psyche, we basically learn that the Espers, Tetsuo, and Akira all used to be part of the same testing group, though Akira pretty much was the cause of the 1988 explosion, and he started World War III. And that's where his physical body was destroyed, and all remaining were bits and pieces of him. And Tetsuo was split off from the group and retained little memory of any of this, and met Kaneda, his first friend. Yeah, basically, Akira also destroys the majority of current modern-day Neo Tokyo. Luckily, everyone who is a main character survives. Tetsuo, now with the others, by others I mean Akira and the Espers, travel off to somewhere else. Another world, another universe. Tetsuo is now full in control of his powers, and he starts a new Big Bang in another universe, and the film ends with him saying the words, "I am Tetsuo." I have to say that the animation in this movie is quite impressive. I did not expect anything like that from a Japanese animated film, but this one amazed me, mainly because unlike most of these, it has actual, expressions from the characters. I mean, in most modern day animes, they don't look as expressive as American cartoons do. I mean, good high-budget American cartoons. This is maybe some Disney quality animation. I mean, this is amazing. Just all the time and care that went into this movie. I see why this movie is regarded as one of the greatest sci-fi films of all time. It's pretty amazing. It's a great movie. Can't believe the development cycle and the process that went into this. All the time and care that went into this. It's pretty amazing. I do wish there was a sequel, though, because this only covers the first half of the Akira manga, and sequel hasn't been made to cover the second one. That would be pretty spectacular if that were to happen. But, till now, we just have to be happy with what we have and appreciate Akira.